Hello everybody, it's Maria here from Pepperly Rose Paper Crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'll be featuring product from our new annual catalogue that went live to everybody on the, I think it was the 2nd of June or the 3rd of June, and 3rd of June, pardon me. And this is product that is appearing again in this catalogue, but it's not new. You've seen this before. So what I'm featuring today is going to be a fun fold masculine card, and I'm using the Mountain Air bundle. This is still a bundle even though it appeared in our last mini catalogue. And on page 17, you will find it here. And it still comes as a bundle, so you get 10% off when you buy it with one special item number, and you get the stamp set and the dies together at 10% off, or you can buy them separately. It's completely up to you. Personally, I would go for the bundle because that saves money. Also, I'm featuring an oldie but a goodie, the Geared Up Garage stamp set. I'm going to feature the car and the matching dies. These are not as a bundle, however you can purchase them separately if you wish as well. So the card I'm making today is going to be a double easel card. Now this is an A6 card base, and it's basically going to look like this from the side. So I'll just give you a side-on view of what it will look like. And it's a lot easier than it looks, so don't be afraid of it. And it also will fold flat. So this is my prototype. I just wanted to make sure that it works. Now there's a lot of easel cards out there, so this is not a unique idea, but I thought it would be fun to give it a go. And I will also be showing you the cutting this time from start to finish. So I will be doing some ink blending and stamping, and the colours I'm using today are Basic Grey, Balmy Blue, Old Olive, Mango Melody, Daffodil Delight, and Poppy Parade. And the card base I'm using today is Basic Grey. Now, what I'm going to show you will work for both imperial and metric, and it also depends on whichever card stock size you have, whether it's A4 here in Australia or the UK and Europe, or if you're using the other one. So what you need to do is just basically cut your card base. So I'm going to cut my card base in half. So this is an A4. So I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, and for both, you will need both pieces, and then I will score it in half again to make an A6 card base. So I'll do that again with this one as well. I'm going to make an A6 card base. So score that in the middle. Okay, so I'm not going to give you exact measurements of that, only because it really depends on your card base. Now what we need to do as well is we need to fold this in half again, so it will look like that. Can you see that? So say that's your card base, and we want it to fold it in half. So what I will do is I will score that, and for me it's 2 1/16, I think, of an inch. So that makes it fold in half, you can see that. So I'll show you. So I fold it in half, right? So I fold it in half. And then for one of these, I'm going to fold it as a mountain, so as you can see, like that. So it looks like that. So that will be the card on the card base. See that? And then on the next one, I will score that in half again. You can also fold it. You don't have to score. So for me, it's 2 1/16 to make that fold in half. And I'm sure you can use that same measurement as well in the US. So again, we're going to fold the card base in half. So it's like 2 card bases. And then instead of being a mountain, we're going to do the opposite and make it a valley. So we're going to score it this way, to burnish it this way. So it looks like that. So that one's like this, and one is like that. Does that make sense? Then what we will do with this is we will stick that on this edge piece here so that when it folds up, it becomes the easel. See that? So we will do that now. I think that's a good idea to do that now. And then we can assemble the card whilst it's assembled, so that way we know where we're putting all our bits and pieces. So this is going to be a longer video, so I'm just warning you in advance. So grab a cuppa and relax. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put this part down the bottom here, and we'll just line it up to make sure that it's all lined up and precise. And if you cut it a bit off, you can always trim the excess off, and I think I will have to do that with this. So just make sure I've oops, butterfingers today. So now it looks like that. See, so it looks like the easel. So it looks like that. I think I knocked you out. All right, and then when you close it up, you do it like that again. So it's all folded in. And there's your easel part. So the other pieces of cardstock you will need is a scrap piece of basic black. We will need also some old olive. And then I've got 2 panel pieces of Whisper White, 1 scrap Whisper White, and then there's one here that it will go this way, and one that will go on the inside here. And what I've done, that's a scrap one, and what I've done is I've trimmed these in advance, and I've just done 1/4 of an inch shorter than the actual card base, so they layer on like this. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to do some ink blending. So we won't attach them now, but we are definitely going to do some ink blending. And before we do ink blending as well, we're going to do some stamping on our scrap piece to start off with. What I want to do is stamp the car image. And we're going to use basic, sorry, not basic black, but we're going to use Memento Tuxedo Black for that. And I'll just ink her up. So I'll just ink that up on that scrap piece of Whisper White and stamp, and I'll keep that right there, especially on the tyres. And that's stamped really, really well. And what I'm going to do with that is just let that dry. We've got wet weather here in Sydney at the moment, so you may see the sun going in and out. But we've done that stamping now, so I'll let that dry. Put that away here and let it dry. And then we're going to colour that with some watercolour pencils later. Okay, so for one of these panels, what we're going to do is some ink blending. So I'm going to bring in my non-stick craft sheet, and this is from Ranger. I get lots and lots of questions, so that's the Ranger non-stick craft sheet if you're interested. I haven't done ink blending for a little while and I really miss it, so good opportunity to do it again. Okay, so the colours I'm going to choose today are more like a sunrise sunset kind of a colour. So to start off with, I'm going to put a little bit of balmy blue up the top there. Okay, so what I'm doing now is a voiceover, as this video has gone for like more than an hour. So to make things quicker, I'm just going to narrate. So what I've done at this point in time is just used my makeup brushes and ink blended some basic grey, which is now there at the bottom, and then at the top I just did some balmy blue, and I'm just cleaning my cloth, which takes forever to do. And I'm just adding now some Daffodil Delight, and I'm just ink blending that all in there. And then I'm going to add some Mango Melody in a second. So I'm just making things quick, and I'm very sorry I'm out of frame sometimes. And then I'm going to add some Poppy Parade as well. So I'm just ink blending that all in and just combining it. And the effect I want is basically a sunrise. And I think even though it's not perfect, the colours still turned out beautiful. And when you put it together, it does look really nice, so I'm happy about that. So what I'm going to do now is just going to show you how I layer on that piece. And I'm going to use the Mountain Air stamp set with the smooth part of the mountain. And I'm just going to position it there, and going to I fiddle around a lot with this, so that's why I'm doing like a voiceover, and I'm using even the dies to make sure that when I stamp in the right position. And I'm just inking it up now with some basic grey, and I'm stamping off on the matte. But when I do that, it doesn't stamp off very nicely, so I try it again, and it doesn't really work out. So I'm just going to grab a piece of paper, and I find that stamps off much better. And even then it was a little bit off, but it didn't really matter because I wanted the look of clouds anyway, so I kind of achieved that with the mountains, and then it kind of looked like fog as well in the morning, so I think that turned out okay. So now I'm just going to, I did this in real time for some reason, but I'm going to be using the more detailed part of this now, so I'm going to go fast again. And I'm just using my basic grey, and I'm going to use some Versamark ink, and I'm just going to stamp that. And then I'm going to use my clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat emboss this off camera, and then I shall be back. So I've finished heat embossing that, and now I'm going to be using the smaller trees and it looks like as well the water. So I'm going to ink that up in Versamark ink pad, and I'm going to stamp on the old olive cardstock right there. And what you will find is I'll have to do it again because it didn't stamp properly, so it's got a gap there that didn't stamp. So I'm going to get rid of the powder and start that again. So I've just finished stamping that really quickly, and I'm going to now heat emboss off camera. So now it's all nice and shiny and finished. So now I'm just going to put the dies over the top of that mountain range, and also where the trees are. Sorry, I'm out of frame again for that one. And we're going to die cut those. And I'm just positioning it in a way that it also can cut out a little bit of the color behind it as well. Doesn't have to be overly precise. So I'm going to put that through my die cutting machine. And I use still my Big Shot because I love it and it's not broken. So I'm going to keep using it until the day it dies. And so now I'm just putting that through the Big Shot. Turned out beautiful. And I'm going to do the same again with the trees. And that's just got like an edge to it, and it's not a full die, like a border. So it still looks good. And now I'm just going to cut out the car, and I'm so sorry you can't see that properly. It's better if I do this faster, and then that way you don't waste time. If you can hear construction in the background, I'm really, really sorry. There's no quiet areas in my place, unfortunately, so I'm doing the best I can. So I apologize if you can really hear it loudly. So what I'm doing now with some basic black cardstock is I'm going to cut those detailed trees from the die set, and I think it's called Majestic Dies. Yes, Majestic Mountain dies. So I'm going to cut that out. They're quite detailed. One of them actually didn't turn out very well, so I will be cutting that off camera and doing it again. So you're seeing that bit now, and you're going to see me poking through all of those holes super fast. And then that's it. and I'm just going to get rid of any little other bits and pieces, and they did come out easily, so it was good. So now I'm just going to put the panel on the front of the card there, on the big panel there. Then I'm going to stick the mountain die, so I'm just positioning that, and I'm using some good old liquid glue. You can use whatever adhesive you like. So I'm just positioning at the moment and fiddling around, and doing the same with the trees. I had a bit of a fiddle with the trees, but anyway, what I'm doing there is I'm just ink blending some Daffodil Delight to cut out a sun, which will happen later. I'm also using another piece of paper to cut out the water, to stamp some water. And it looks a little bit green because I had a bit of yellow from the previous colour there. So what I'm showing you there is basically I'm stamping underneath the trees, and I'm going to use that upside down, and I'm going to make the water. So that's how I'm doing that now. And so I'm just doing that several times. And I'm just cleaning. There's a lot of cleaning. There's a lot of umming and ahhing as well with this video for some reason. It shouldn't be hard, but I found it hard for some unknown reason. So anyway, I'm now just stamping some more green in the background there to kind of fill up that space. And it looks really lovely, actually. I'm glad that it turned out that way. And so you can see the darkness behind, and the trees get lighter as you go in front. So I'm going to stick that all down. But you'll find later on I'm going to get rid of that little panel that I just stamped. And because I had to think about this, and it was something I was doing on the fly as well. So I had an idea in my head, and yeah, it didn't quite turn out the way I wanted, but it didn't turn out too badly, I don't think, in the end. So I'm just trimming off that excess piece of paper there, and that looks great. But then I'm realizing as well that behind that area just looks like it's like it's up in the air. So I needed some trees to anchor the mountains down. So I'm just stamping like as if there's a little forest there with some fog. That's the kind of look I'm going for there. And again, I'm just doing some more stamping. And I'm so sorry I'm out of frame with this. It wasn't a very good day of filming today, I have to admit, but I persevere. And now I'm just going to position those trees where I see that they will look good. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that the car is in the water. I needed some trees and some greenery to anchor it down. So silly me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that all off and start it again. So I'm just inking that strip that I used before. And I'm going to use some old olive to do the top and the bottom part. I'm going to use the balmy blue in the middle, and then you'll see me ink blending the old olive then on the top and the bottom. And I'm just cleaning away there as per usual, and I'm just ink blending the old olive kind of lightly. I don't want it overly dark. And then I'm going to stamp again as well once I clean everything up, because I use the one brush and I'll just clean it between uses. And so now I'm going to re-ink the trees, stamp that on the green part, and I'm just stamping off as well. And then I'm going to do the same again down the bottom. And then I'm going to just stamp all the water on there again. And I should have done this the first time, actually. Stamping the water again. And I didn't think properly with this as well. I could have just put the green on top of that water, but I did it the hard way, you know. I just wasn't thinking straight today. I was just having one of those days where I was just doing everything the wrong way around. I don't know why. But anyway, and so I'm just putting that through the die cutting machine, and I'm going to do the bottom part as well. And then I'll just be putting all of this together. I'll finally get it right. There we go, and that looks a lot better. So I'm just bringing up to the card. I'm so sorry I'm out of frame again, and I'm just positioning everything to make sure I have it in the place that I want it to be. And I'm just going to grab the car. So I'm going to stick that panel down over the top, and then I'm going to trim off the excess with my scissors. And then I'm going to position those detailed trees. And I love those detailed trees. They are beautiful. And so I'm just positioning the other tree behind just to make it look like there's lots of layers and it's got a lot of dimension. I really like this card in the end, but it I had a little bit of drama with it. So I eventually stick that all down and it's starting to really come together. So it's really, really good. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to colour that car, and I'm going to use, I'm just going to using a 1 inch circle punch. I think that's retired, but I keep mine, and I just put that Daffodil Delight ink blended circle behind there. And now I'm just going to use my watercolor pencils, my Faber-Castells. I love those things. They are the best. I'm going to just bring you down closer. And I'm using like a Poppy Parade type of color to color the car. So all I do is just scribble it on. It's really easy. And then I use my blender pen to smooth out the color. And it blends really nicely. Now the secret to blending with watercolor pencils and a blender pen on Whisper White paper is to ensure that the blender pen is not overly new. If it's really brand new, like it will peel like there's no tomorrow. The paper will peel, but if you've used it for a little while, it blends really, really nicely, and it lasts a long time for me, so that was good. So I'm just using like Poppy Parade, and then to shade the the other areas, I'm using like a real red, and then for the tires and for the bumper I'm using like a smoky slate color. So now I'm just going to stick that to the front there with some glue. I didn't want to add a lot of dimension there at all because it is quite bulky as it is, and I didn't want to add too much. So I'm just going to add the inside panel, which you can write on. You can write your message there. And it needs a stopper. So what I'm using is the Geared Up Garage stamp set with the All Geared Up. What does it say? It says All Geared Up to Celebrate. And I stamped that in basic grey. And then I'm going to use my Tasteful Labels dies. And I'm going to, I thought I could use the banner, but it didn't really fit. So I'm just used the bigger one there, and it was just perfect. And so I'm just cutting that out now with my Big Shot. And then I'm going to add dimensionals on the back of that. And I like how it's got like a little bit of an embossing around the edges. It looks really lovely. And so I'm just going to add dimensionals on the back of that, 3 of those. And my narration will now finish, and we will start off with just the normal time narration that I've done before. So yeah. And that's my finished card for today. I hope you enjoyed it, despite it being all over the shop. This is the card now as it looks like that. Beautiful. And that's it on the side there. I'm sure you can finish off the inside nicer, but I don't mind the way this turned out. Like, there's the stopper right there. So I'll just show you from the side. And that's how my finished card looks for today. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to let me know. All of the products I featured today are available in my online store at pepperyrosepapercrafting.stampinup.net. And if you'd like to purchase from me, I would really appreciate your business. And yeah, I just hope you liked today's tutorial. And thanks for watching. Thank you for your lovely comments. And as you can see, sorry, I just want to see this closed up will look like this. See, and that's the bulk that you will have, which will be mainly down here. And this will fit in an C6 size envelope, so you won't have any issues there. So I hope you like it, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.